Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast, Grow Your Brand with Amanda. And today I have with me the absolutely fantastic human that is Nicola Noél. Hello, Nicola.
Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and thank you for joining me. And Nicola is a multi-award winning mental health consultant and speaker, and also founder of Brainworks Therapy. And I met Nicola last summer when she did a talk, and she is such a fantastic speaker. Absolutely moved me so much that I followed her outside and proceeded to tell her such a lot about my cats. We'll find out a lot more about that after and more of the incredible work that you do, which is just so fascinating. But before we get to that, I just want to know a little bit more about you as a person. So, do you have a favorite motivational song?
I do. Well, I have a couple. So my first one is definitely A Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay. And the second one is from The Greatest Showman, A Million Dreams.
Oh, they're so good. And do you like to walk on stage with those, or do they make you feel ready to take on the world?
I would never use them to walk on stage to. They're more personal songs for me when I'm manifesting, when I want to change my state of being, how I feel. A Million Dreams is more, that's related more to when I want to do something that creates impact and creates change.
Hmm.
Because to me, that's what I feel they're talking about in the song, and that's what that song represents. And then A Sky Full of Stars is the more about your greatness.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love that. Well, I will add both of those to the playlist that accompanies this podcast. They're just gorgeous songs. And do you have a motivational quote?
I do have a motivational quote. Couldn't speak then. You know what? I say it's by Brene Brown
Love
or
Brene.
Dr. Brene Brown. Let's
Yeah.
not demote her. And so you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. And why do you like that quote?
I like that quote because it's all about taking your power back.
Mhm.
So when you have a story and you let shame
Mhm.
or guilt own it, what happens is it gives other people the power to tell you about yourself, to tell you what you're worth, what you should have. And when you take that back and you alchemize that and you're like, no, this is my story, what starts happening is moths start finding their flame. You find your tribe, people start coming to you. And when you start talking, it starts giving others permission as well, others permission to show up in places where they think they don't belong or shouldn't go, or that other people are smarter than you. So it's like Barack Obama says, you think that you don't belong, and when you go into those rooms, you realize how dumb people are and that they ain't nothing special.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you quoted him. Oh, I just love him so much. But yeah, absolutely right. And the thoughts that fill our heads on our own story could just be
Yeah.
a whole other podcast. I know I love that. I love that quote. And we were chatting earlier. Do you read? And if you do, do you have a favorite book?
I have favorite books.
Books, yeah.
Books.
Most readers can't pick. There's so many.
So the first one would be Carol Dweck mindset.
Mhm.
And I would always say to people, remember that becoming is better than being.
Yes.
That's from Carol Dweck herself.
Mhm.
Um, James Clear, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
We we don't rise to our goals, we fall to our systems.
Mhm.
And The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, I've not read that, and that is going on my list. My list grows every week, but I think I need that. I need that in my life.
Yeah, that's just, you know, I can't remember a direct quote, so I'm paraphrasing here,
Mhm,
but we only have so many fucks to give in a day.
mhm.
So what are you going to use for? Are you going to use it for something that's menial, or are you going to use it for something that that's really worth our time?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is so good. And something that I picked up on this week, I'm doing a course on Instagram. I just want to know as much about it as possible. And it's really funny when she said, you know, whenever you give so much thought to a post on social media and you really put your heart and soul into it and you can spend a long time doing it. And she just said, nobody cares. It's just the same as that. You know, no one really cares that much. You do, but no one else does. And
Yeah,
I think if you apply the same principle, life really gets a little bit easier because you stop putting so much pressure on yourself. And I think we need a little bit more of that because as a recovering perfectionist myself, life gets a lot easier whenever you take away all
Mhm.
those barriers and all those
Yeah,
restraints definitely that we
me
put on us.
too.
Mm.
Like I'm recovering perfectionist, and nobody does care. Like everybody is the star of their own show. They're either the leading lady or the leading man. Like you
Mhm.
don't realize how much nobody cares.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? And we spend so much time worried about what other people think and being judged. And I kind of got over the judgment thing, because you do whenever you start your own business and you're doing podcasts and you're sort of showing up online. And I just thought, you know what? Nobody else pays my bills. And that's how I got over the judgment very quickly.
Right?
Because it's just, I just don't care because I do this because I like it. But you've really kind of got to pick your battles with judgment and decide
Yeah.
what your train of thought's going to be on it. But it's you can spend so much time, and people do. People really obsess over worrying about being judged. But it's something that you've really got to sit with and find an angle on it. But
Yeah.
anyway, moving swiftly on to you and your business and what you do. So tell me what inspired you to start your business and how has your personal story shaped your brand?
Uh, what inspired me to start my business was COVID. So I was working the front line during COVID, and I was seeing how normal, everyday people who had never had contact with judicial custodial services, who had never had contact with mental health services, suddenly appear in prison with mental health problems.
Oh,
So even one of the main ones I remember was there was a gentleman who worked for the forces, he worked in the army, uh, exemplary record, obviously never been in contact with the law, never had a mental health problem. And what appeared overnight, because of the stresses of COVID, ended up attempting to murder his elderly parents,
no.
and ended up in prison. Clearly, there was some sort of psychosis. He wasn't in his right mind,
Yeah.
and the fact that we had to wait till we were treating him. At the time, I worked for the mental health services within prisons. So we had to wait till this man was better, if he was going to become better, or maybe we might have to ship him out to a hospital, but we didn't. Tell him, so he's going to come round out of the psychosis and realise he's in prison, first shot, and then we're going to say, actually, you're in prison for trying to attempt to kill your parents.
Wow.
And it was the fact of seeing that services were shutting down. Like you couldn't speak to it. You couldn't even speak to a GP. Like how ridiculous is that? The GPs, the main gatekeepers, closed their doors.
Hmm.
People were scared. People's mental health was deteriorating rapidly. Who was going to help them?
Hmm.
And so for me, at the time, it was like, okay, this can go. We can do stuff online. Um, since then, it's obviously evolved vastly, and it's no longer even what it started as. But
Hmm.
that's where it's like people people need help. People need to be able to access help.
Mhm.
So how has my story
Shaped your brand.
shaped my brand?
Mhm.
So my story shaped my brand. I didn't know it at the time, but I was becoming the person that I needed when I was younger.
Mhm.
That's how my story shaped my brand. So I am the thriver of childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, attempted suicides, and was the girl who was told that she's not enough, that she's too much, being told at 15 by a school teacher that I'll never amount to anything, I'll never be good enough, I'll be pregnant by the time I'm 18, and I will be a lady of the night, which I found out was a prostitute. So essentially, and that was his response to me saying that I'd passed some GCSEs a year early.
Mhm.
So essentially, he was telling me that all I was good for was sleeping with
Mhm.
and nothing else.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. In a learning environment from an educator that's supposed to
Mm.
inspire you. And I've seen you on stage, and that I just couldn't even take it in, the enormity of telling a 15-year-old child that.
It's crazy. And when I look back now, I realise that actually this was a man who was in his 40s.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in my 40s now, and I couldn't ever imagine saying that to a school kid. Like,
Mhm.
you think they're dumb, and we are. We're like a bag of rocks, aren't we? And we're full of, hire a teenager when they know it all.
Yeah.
But seriously,
I
to
know.
go to those levels. So for me, and with my experience, my brand is about it's about three things really. One, representation. If they can't be it, they can't see it. And we have a responsibility, whether we like it and whether we like to be called it, as role model, as influencers, as leaders, to take up the mantle. There are, for me, specifically, little boys and girls, little black and brown boys and girls of colour who are waiting for me to take up my mantle so they can see me and they can say, you know what, I can be it, I can do it too. So that's that. I believe that when one rises, we all rise.
Mhm.
And pull as you rise. There's no point in breaking that glass ceiling and not pulling others through. We are there to pave the way. So it's not about opening the door, it's about taking the door off the fucking hinges and letting as many through as you can. I've opened the door, now you walk through and you carry the baton. This is not about gatekeeping, it's not about shielding, it's about making sure as many get through as possible. And then the last one, which I say was is I think related not just to my brand but to me and what people may know me for, is saying you need to build longer tables, not higher walls. And so we build those tables, and a lot of the time, especially people of colour, have to go back into rooms, and you'll understand this being Irish as well, is you have to go back into rooms a lot of the time that have traumatized us. However, what we don't have the option to do, or no longer have the option to do, is say that we are not welcome.
Mhm.
So you have two options. If you don't want the mess in the kitchen, you get at that table. So you get your elbows out. And if you don't want to get at that table, you know what you need to do? Build your own table.
Mhm.
But it's no longer acceptable to say, we're not welcome here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been so consistent with that message, and it's traveling probably faster than you expected. And You've been up and down the country with that, and I just love the fact that you have taken, I'm just going to bring you back to that 15-year-old child. There was two options there.
Mm.
Believe what you were told and accept that as your story, or to do what you did and just think, who are you? What are you talking about? And just even to disregard that at 15 to be labeled with that. I, it's just unbelievable, but you just completely dismissed it, trashed it, and carried on because you must have known, you must have felt something inside you that was bigger than you, bigger than him, bigger than anything that you could have ever imagined, which has brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, eventually. So there must have been a little seed in there because there was always, you could always see little peaks of it. And that then translated into me going on to become a nurse and doing what I'm doing now. And I kind of could see the next step. I could never see the full staircase.
Mm.
So,
And I don't want to make it sound easy. I don't want to
no, no, no,
trivialize
no.
it like it's, you went from zero to there because, like you say, it's
Mm.
one step, then the next step, then the next step.
I don't think you trivialize it, but
Mhm.
I would say it's like the great Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots when you look back.
Yeah.
So looking back now and connecting the dots, yes, there was always something in me. Like I didn't know at the time that I was saying, actually, forget you, I'm gonna be bigger, I'm going to be greater. But I do say a lot in, I need to get over it, but I'm not over it. I do say a lot in my podcast about, Mr. Stevenson. Remember when you said to me, how do you like them apples now?
You
How do you
named
like that now?
it.
I named him
You,
and
you,
I will continue to name him. Shame on you. Shame on you.
oh
Shame.
wow.
For
That
shame, Mr. Stevenson.
that would be an episode to get him on. And I think and that's like kind of one of my questions. What piece of advice would you give your younger self? Apart from maybe saying something. But eh, what advice would you get, knowing what you know right now, and maybe
Mm.
thinking of other 15-year-olds from all sorts, from all sorts of backgrounds? What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, this is going to sound really cliche, but you're smarter than you think.
Mhm.
And to trust your gut.
Yeah. I think we always feel we have to have it all figured out, even when we're 15,
Mm,
18, 21, and you don't have to have it all figured out. And using your own analogy, I think you just need to know what the next step is,
mm,
what to do, what the next move is. And I
mm.
think there's always so much pressure. And think about it. When you're little, you have to write stories in school. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like, I'm 6, I don't really know. It's
Yeah,
always that pressure. And I remember, being told work hard at school and you can get a good job. And you don't know what a good job is, but there's always this pressure to have this image of what you're going to be when you're grown up, but you don't have to have it figured out. And
no.
it's why don't we sort of focus on being a good person, doing good deeds, doing things that
Right?
we like, spending time. Because I think if you spend time on things that you like, the career will come.
Yes, it will come. And there's one thing that I say a lot of things. Everybody's like, you're full of lines. I'm like, yes, I'm full of these charismatic lines and one-liners. When is the last time you ever played Three Blind Mice on a recorder to get you out of a problem?
Yeah, yeah,
They
exactly.
teach you so much shit in schools. Like
Yeah,
if I handed some the most of the general public, if I walked up to them and gave them a recorder, I'm telling you now, they
no,
could play Three Blind Mice, London's Burning.
I know, yeah.
Like,
It's
know,
yeah, it's
they
that.
can. play that without even thinking about it. But when has that ever helped us?
Mhm.
What about teaching us things that are going to serve us, like how to be a good human,
Mhm.
how to just
Talk
how
your
to
way.
pardon?
We'll say how to talk your way out of a tricky situation.
Yes, how to, you know, talk, or not even that. One of the biggest things they take away from us, let us dream.
Yeah,
Because dreaming is essentially a more simplistic way of talking about manifesting,
yeah,
how to get us into the life that we should be leading, that we're here to lead, that our purpose. Let us find our purpose
mhm.
instead of teaching us how, indoctrinating us in playing Three Blind Mice and, going to, music lessons. Music lessons aren't bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's
Or
what
pi, or learning pi. We've learnt pi. When's the last time you got that scientific calculator out? Who has ever? I have still got that fucking Casio
No,
calculator.
yeah. What was the purpose of it? Well, I'm going to shock you now, right? Because I went to a convent. Well, that's not the shock. Well, interestingly, so the convent that I went to, I only kind of realized this on reflection. I learned mindfulness at the convent,
Yes.
but I didn't know that that's what it was. And also, what was the other thing? I learned business studies, but there was something else that popped into my head. Oh yeah, the in the lower sixth year, we part of the curriculum was we did a mini company. And that wasn't part of a subject. But I learned business studies through that, even though I'd done GCSE business studies. But they were good life skills. And I'm kind of thinking how interesting that that come from a convent rather than a school. So they were very forward thinking at that stage. But you're right, we're not sort of taught generally the things that we need for
Yeah.
life. And to dream and
Mm.
fantasize and manifest what it is we actually want. And I kind of think that's a bit of an indulgence, don't you think? It's like almost, I'm not allowed to think about that. That's too
Yes.
whimsical.
And when we go back to the what advice would I give to my younger self? Never stop dreaming as well. Never stop dreaming.
Mm,
They take away so much from you. And I never thought I'd ever say this, but they take away so much from you. And just like, oh, no, you can't dream. You can't. How dare you have aspirations
yeah.
apart from being in these boxes that we put
Mm,
you in that you're never going to get out of? How dare you dream to be something greater?
mm,
The amount of leaders that have probably been stopped in their tracks
yeah.
or that could be leaders
Hmm.
by not allowing to dream, not asking a 6-year-old what they want to do. And, what do you need to, like I said to my son, you know, you're going to probably change career a few times and you're not going to know what you want to do just yet.
Hmm.
Like, I find it highly ridiculous now.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. And do you remember that song, Baz Luhrmann? Oh, it must be 20 years ago. Um, And he says in the lyrics, some of the most interesting people I know are in their 40s and they still don't know what they want to do. Where
Yes.
sunscreen, I think it's called. That
Yes.
one.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
that always stuck with me. And I thought, yeah, that is someone that's really interesting because you will change and we have to learn to evolve and adapt and change.
Yeah.
And if and that's what makes life interesting, isn't it? And
Mm.
you don't have to kind of be fixed on one ideal and this is the way life should be. And dreaming helps you kind of map that out and think, we've got expectations placed on us, but you might have your own secret thing that you might actually want to do. So when you go on stage, because you do a lot and you're very comfortable and you're very competent on stage. So talk me through your process then. Do you have any confidence tricks? Do you get nervous? How do you keep it all in your head or do you have to have a prompt? How do you manage talking on stage?
Do you mean like how do I manage to get myself on stage or when I'm actually delivering the talk?
Both. I'm going to say it's all in your head and you remember it. So do you have to memorize it, or is it all in your head, or
Oh,
can you
so
just turn up and
for me,
hmm
that's about the mastering your craft.
hmm
So, and a bit of paranoia, and I'll get onto that. So, but if anybody's seen, if I ever use slides, um, there's not a lot on my slides. So there's literally either a word or a picture or a sentence.
People don't like slides, and they
No,
don't like slides with loads of words that you
no.
read.
So, but for me, it's one, it's a killer anyway, and two, if you've got a slide that is full of stuff, you do not know your shit.
hmm
So my thing about going on stage and delivering the right event, like I've like master your craft, know your shit.
hmm
Like you shouldn't be relying on those; they should be there as prompts. So I do it, and because I don't want people stealing my information like that. Can you have my slides? Well, you can, but there's shit on them. So you can have all of them. So
Method in the
there's
madness.
method in the madness. There's twofold. So hone mastery,
hmm
master it, know your stuff.
hmm
And then as for this is, I can't lie, I don't have a problem with like going on stage or talking. So if somebody's like, "Oh, how do you do it?" I'm like, "Oh, I just do it. I just like rock up and I do it." Like,
You are really comfortable. And the one that I saw, I when we met, you stood up and you did your talk, but it was more of it was a talk, but there was a performance element and there was suspense and you I won't give it away because people see you talking and you were asking questions and we were expecting a big thing and you know what I'm referring to. And I remember looking around the room and I was just so invested in the performance of you.
mm,
And it was, we're talking about your greatest showman and what have you. It was flawless. You had the audience eating out of the palm of your hand and you were comfortable. You knew everything. And but there was an element of performance and it was
yeah,
just so flawless. And I remember it reached me emotionally, as you know. I was just sat at the table, the tears rolling down my face, which I'm not
yeah,
ashamed of because I was just so moved, it was so powerful. But every element of you on stage was was flawless. Your delivery, your tone of voice, the expectation of what was happening, your personal story that you were
mm,
telling, and and I just thought, wow, this was just someone who was clearly exactly where they were meant to be, and
mm.
to hear you speak was an absolute privilege. And we spoke after, and I just thought, wow. So that's why I was curious as to your what you did beforehand. So it doesn't surprise me that you're comfortable and that doing it and then, honing your craft and knowing everything beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, I've had no professional training. So somebody came up to me and they was like, "Oh, have you
I
been
can't
trained?"
believe that. You've had no
Really?
that. That is really interesting.
No. So
Wow.
I would say to a certain degree, I've looked at stuff and there is a few little bits that I would like to hone and maybe get better. Maybe more about um, how to project my voice more and so forth. However, the majority of it is innate for me. Uh, but I do hone my craft and I have had my whole career has been about communication, really, hasn't it?
Mhm,
So I shouldn't really be that shocked by it because it has been about communication, how to navigate it, how to navigate a room of uncertainty. Because when you hit a wing of over 200 men,
mhm.
that's a room of uncertainty and
And
unpredictability. So,
and that is, I mean, that's another story in itself. I mean, that is just that is unbelievable. All the stories around that. But my next question for you then, what's been the most surprising benefit of putting yourself on the stage? What has that led to?
um, It's led to deeper connections, but not just deeper connections, the permission that is given people. That's been the biggest surprise. The permission for them to be seen, the permission for them to want to be more, to use their voice, to rise up, to not be held back anymore. The impact. I was not expecting the impact, not at all. If you had said to me this time last year, if you said to me, um, you got one of the tools you're going to use to make change is to be a speaker, I'd have been like, okay, all right then. Don't think so. Like, I'm just going to be doing therapy. And if you had said to me a year ago that I would be a leading voice in mental health, EDI, and leadership, I'd have laughed you out of it, especially the EDI part. I'd have been like, I don't think so. No, not me. And even September last year, if you had mentioned that, I'd have laughed at you real hard. And I didn't realise that that's what I was doing, that's what was happening. So when I then went to Wales and won their national EDI award twice, like in two categories, I was just like, I I was flabbergasted by
Really? And I'm sat here not surprised, but I'm thinking, imposter syndrome, surely not. Fully deserved.
like the elite level of imposter syndrome. I always, and when we talk about anyone, this is what I was going to say, but I didn't get around to saying it because we went off somewhere else. I always feel like I turn up and fall into things. So like, how did that happen? Like, I don't know. It just happened. They're like, how do you like? Like I turn up and they're like, how have you got the job you've got? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I feel like the person who's running like they stole it. I genuinely, you can't meet anybody who's just so is more clueless. Like I'm smarty smart, it's like book smart. Like I'm really smart. But you ask me to cross a road, I dare you. You will lose your own life watching me cross a road. Like, I
The reason I'm
genuinely don't know.
laughing, and it's not disrespectfully, is because the night you won that award, you did a Facebook Live, and and I watched, and you were just flabbergasted, and I was watching, and you were there going, I can't believe it. You're not going to believe it. And I was just sat there going, I believe it. But it was your kind of unfiltered reaction to what had happened. And it was just so sweet and so cute. And that's why I was laughing because you were just so modest but genuinely shocked.
The thing is, so, sometimes not sometimes I look back and the amount of times it's happened in my story. So when I went to study to become a nurse, so originally I was working as a healthcare assistant and I wanted to become a nurse. And this whole everything about the story won't shock you. So I said to them, I want to go to become a nurse. And they said to me, no, we've got other people who are here and need to go before you. And I said to them, if you do not put me forward to be a nurse, I will leave my job and I will go and become a nurse. And they was like, oh, will you? And I was like, okay then. But before that, I somebody said to me, have you ever thought about being a nurse? And I said, I don't have the qualifications. And I said, what qualifications do you have? And I said, I have an MVQ in level 3 in beauty and holistic therapy. So at that time, I was actually an award-winning makeup artist.
Mhm.
And I'd done beauty therapy, aromatherapy, reflexology, Indian head massage. So I was like an alternative therapist as well. got pregnant, had my son, and there was an incident, so it was a domestic violence incident, where he'd forced me to take an overdose. I had gone to A&E. At this point, my son was 6 months old, and they left me in A&E from 10 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning. They didn't even take blood pressure. They hadn't checked my blood, so they know that I'm there because of an overdose. They don't know the exact full story. No bloods were taken, no checks were done, and I had a 6 month old baby with me. If that's not a safeguarding issue, I don't know what is. But anyway, as it happened, they left me. And then I got to 5 o'clock in the morning feeling dehumanized. And I mean, black women in the healthcare system, that's a whole different story. But I felt dehumanized, I felt worthless, um, just not valued at all. And I got up and my son was in like a car seat and I walked out. And as I walked past reception, he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. And he said, you can't go home. And I said, I'm going home to die because clearly you guys do not care about me. And I fully went home anticipating to die because I had no idea what I was given to take.
Mhm.
I just took what I was given. He essentially gave me these tablets and said, "Oh, and take them." And then when I took them, he said, "Now you can fuck off to A&E with your kid." And so my mum sat with me in A&E, and I didn't know what I'd taken. So as I left, I thought if I survive this, I will do better because I can treat a dead dog better than this, which is how I then ended up becoming a healthcare assistant on a mental health ward. And then when they told me no, I was like, "Mm, okay, well, I'll go and do it." And then it was, I think she was about band seven, Faye Gopi, her name was. And she said, do you know you have the qualification to join up and be a nurse? And I was like, I don't think so. For the viewers listening, we're going somewhere with this story. And so I was like, okay then. So I applied for nursing and they said, yes, come in. And on the day of going in, so I had my NVQ, like all my certificates, and I had them in this folder. And I never forget, you go through all the process and then they're like, right, we need to go and check your documents. And so I went down with my documents and I slid them over. She opened up this folder, she looked at them, and she went, yeah, okay then, gave it to me. I'm telling you, and I weren't small. We were in this theatre and the steps were like this. I bombed up those steps with my qualifications out to the metro to get on. I was like, nobody's stopping me and telling me they've made a mistake. And that's exactly how I felt when I got those awards in Wales. I was like, nobody, nobody is telling me this is a mistake. So then when I got back with them and I was like, fucking hell, I've made it like a bandit. Got these,
Oh.
I got these awards.
Mhm.
Somebody out there has made a mistake, but it's too late now
Mm.
because I have them.
No, no. And it's so interesting listening to you because you described your journey and as difficult as it clearly was, you can kind of see the stepping stones that you described, can't you? You can see the next step and the next step and the things that influenced your next decision and your next decision. And and I just think, wow, it's so amazing that there was a real drive because it was, you said originally that you're the person that you needed.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just right there in what you've described in the healthcare that you should have had 100%. And the you saw that in the system. You knew it needed to change, and you were the change. And I've seen you say that before, be the change when you absolutely lived that value way before you were even saying it on a stage.
And just, I it took me a long, long time to recognise that. So when I was back the dark days, I was in the NHS, there was a, oh God, it should be like an AA. it's like senior level management, and her name was Linda Ventris. And the one time she said to me, she was trying to get me to apply for a permanent job. Never going to happen. We'll never get indoctrinated back into that. But she said, "Be the change you want to see." And I was like, "Be the change you want to see." I was like, "Piss off, Linda. Be the change you want to see." And, and now I look back and I'm like, "Oh my God, be the change you want to see."
Yeah,
Like, like literally, that is me.
yeah, it is. But, we talked about impact, your story, your stage presence, and all the things that you are the change. And I think even if you said that someone said you can't do that and you said I can do that, it would have happened anyway because of how
Mhm.
you are, because of the values that you had and the things that you knew were wrong and the things that you needed to see yourself. And I just think I'm always in awe anyway. And if you ever get the opportunity to see Nicola speak, please do watch her speak. She's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm just going to say, Nicola, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on my podcast. And I've wanted you here for ages, and I'm going to have you back again after the next phase of this year. But in the meantime, where can we find out more about you online?
So you can find me on LinkedIn as Nicola Noél, on Instagram as Brainworks Therapy, and you can find me on Facebook as Nicola Noél.
Well, I
So
will put all those links in the show notes, so everybody can find them. And thank you so much, Nicola. I've absolutely loved our chat. It's been fascinating. I could have talked on for so much longer, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more to Nicola, and she'll come back for part two, I'm pretty sure.
thank you.
Thank you.